What's up, everybody? It's your favorite Japanese character's favorite nerd. Today we are looking at Fansproject Knight, which is their take on 6 Knight, which is a 100% repaint of that fella. So we're not going to go through all the transformation steps. We will look at all the modes just for the sake of color differences. But we'll talk about the figure one more time because I think it's worth noting. So the head is on a ball joint with a hinge down here, so it doesn't, like, it's supposed to. I think that, well, I don't think it doesn't really tab in, which is a bit obnoxious, but not a deal breaker necessarily. This visor does flip down to give it that look, but it's almost a little too transparent for my taste. I think if it was a little bit more dense, I would like the look of it. The paint on the eyes is top shelf, the black outline, and then the red inside. It did get a little carried away over in that area. But not terrible. And then the color in here, the reds and the blue and all that, the good color breakup there, I like that. For some reason, this big port in the center is troubling me now. It didn't necessarily trouble me on this guy, but like now, like I can't not see it. I'm finding it a little bit more aggravating. Waist is on a swivel. Arms are on a hinge this way, and then these actually hinge out so you can get a bit of a butterfly joint. You're cheating it, but it still works. And then you get a soft ratcheted swivel this way, bicep swivel right above the elbow, single hinged elbow, which gets you way past 90 degrees, and nothing for the wrist, except for I guess kind of a hinge here, which is more for transformation, but still it kind of works. So let's give them credit. Nice red paint in there, and blue paint, silver paint, all that stuff. There's a fair amount of paint apps on this guy, and they're all done fairly well. Articulation is the same on the other side. Hips, these hips are a little loose. Like my other guy's hips aren't this loose. They're not crazy loose, but you see, like, they are a little loose. You know, that's unfortunate. But they are ball joints, and they're T-jointed. So articulation-wise, you get out to there, back and forth to there, but this is loose. That's unfortunate. Thigh swivel, nice paint up in this area. It looks good. The colors really work on this mold, but whatever. Knees hinge way past 90 degrees, and then ankle tilt, and the ball joint gets you the rocker, and so that all works fine. Got a little bit of kibble in there, and then this cleans up in the back fairly nicely. So, you know, it's pretty much business as usual, except I do feel like it's a little bit looser. I like the colors, though. I like the blues and the grays. I'm a fan of that combination, and it works. While we're here, we'll take a look at the accessories, if we can. So he comes with 2 of these. No paint on these, again, which is unfortunate. And then this is hinged, so you can collapse it, and then they can also plug into the side there, like they're you know, holstered, and I think that'd be at a bit of an angle. Alright, let's figure this out. So, like that, which I think is, oh, it's because it's got to go in this way. Yeah, so that works. And then he comes with the 2 larger versions of the gun, which are these. And this handle doesn't really do anything, but it's still an extra piece, but not a lick of paint either on this. So let's get to the modes. So here's dog mode, and you know, there's ports and stuff where you can plug the guns in, but you know, the paint looks good. You know, these back legs, we talked about this with the last one, but like they are a little cheesy. You know, that's open up. That might be an issue for you. It's not for me, but jaw articulation there. It's on a hinge. Gets you a pretty good extreme angle there, and then the ears, you can articulate them a bit. Shoulders, pretty restricted, actually, which is not cool. if you move this piece out of the way, you can get the ratchet use out of them, and then you still get the swivel here and the hinge, and then you get a little bit of paw tilt. You get the waist swivel if you need it. Chances are you won't. These guns don't really go back any further, but you can push them forward a bit, but that doesn't really do much for you. And then you get the you're pretty much limited to just the swivel aspect up and down of the rear legs, and then the hinge here, and then the hinge at the bottom of the paw. So you know, this isn't one of my favorite modes. The torso's too long, the proportions look crazy, and then it just kind of looks dog-ish or whatever it's supposed to be. It's just you know, it's not hateful, but it's definitely not ideal, right? All right, so this is the Spaceship. You know, I think I like these fins up, but you know, this is one of the modes that actually works better. It's you know, it just, you know, it's fairly reminiscent of a little space cruiser or something. Like, it's not hateful. You can plug the guns in there. Of course, I feel like this kind of looks out of place, but you know, this is not terrible. This is one of the modes that works fairly well. And the wings, you know, you can bend them down a little bit. I wish it had a stand. You know, that almost looks like Star Trek-ish. You know, I wish you had a, like, I wish it came with a display stand, because there's no landing gear or anything, so you just kind of got to sit it, you know, on the ground like that, and that doesn't really work. And there's gun mode. Like I said in the first one, like, I really like that they added the trigger in there. I think that's pretty cool. And the grip's a little short, you know, for my hands anyway, not for maybe some others. And then good use of accessories there. This is another mode that kind of works, and you know, you can do whatever you want with them. You know, it's got a little sight. I like this. You know, it's this little space gun. I don't think that's too hateful. Once again, a display stand would have been nice, because you're kind of limited to sitting it like that. But like the red stripes in there and all that kind of stuff, like, it's good. It's good use of color to make you know, some modes that are more suggestive than they are literal, have a little oomph. So this is drill mode, and while it's cool looking, this was one of the ones I had the biggest criticism of last time. Like, it feels like this stuff here. Oh, I guess there it goes. So that plugs in there. That's something I think I may have missed on the first go around. Oh, it does in there, but it doesn't on this one, because of that tab. And then this doesn't plug into this. So like, this one feels like this one could have been thought out a little bit more, but it doesn't look hateful. You know, it looks like a little drill thing, I guess, and then that helps stabilize it. So, you know, there that is. And then lastly, the boat mode, and this one is my favorite mode. I think, like, it looks very military-esque. It looks like I buy this as like a Cybertronian mode. You know, because it looks like a little, like, you know, it looks like a Cybertronian version of something that we were familiar with, and everything kind of holds together well. And this is probably my favorite mode of it. I like the way that the guns sit in at an angle. You know, they're like slightly off center. I think that's a cool look. They don't, you know, you don't see stuff like this. It's just unique. You know, just different. And this is all well thought out. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if this is one of the first modes they worked on. You know, it's definitely, it feels good. And just for a recap, there he is next to an MP car and a deluxe. So he's a good size. Final thoughts wise, a lot of the same things remain true with the first one. You know, the alt modes, while the engineering is pretty impressive that they were able to do it all and keep it all relatively close to something, the alt modes are more suggestive than they are literal, and they're still kind of looking like a pile of shapes more so than proper alt modes. The other negative thing is that these hips, see, that's holding up pretty well, but they're a little, it's not crazy, like you can see, but they're a little loosey. This guy's is much better. But, you know, maybe that's just a mold degradation thing. I'm not sure. It's only the second use of it, but that's pretty unfortunate. You know, it's not a deal breaker. On a shelf, it'll be fine. I'm just making you aware that, you know, the hips might be a little bit looser than they were on the previous. Not as bad as Fansproject Sludge, but not as good as their previous effort. The other thing I want to mention that's kind of a bummer is this ratchet here. This is the same thing on the other one, but you see how that's all gummed up? Let me see if I can't zoom in on it. like, first of all, it's weird that there's only a hard ratchet on one place on this toy, and it's for this thing, which doesn't really need it. And then it's like, it's the plastic's too soft for the ratchet, so like the ratchet's actually damaging the plastic here. And it was the same on this one, in the same exact place, you know? So that's kind of a bummer, you know, like, it didn't need a ratchet there in the first place, so you put a ratchet there that's now not good for the toy, you know? It's a little strange. And then the only other real downside of this figure is that, you know, it's 6 Knight, and, you know, like, who's 6 Knight?
So who is that?
6 Knight. 6
What's he from?
He's from the Transformers, like the Japanese stuff. Like, not a lot of people know about him.
So, like, what's his story?
He's just like this robot from Cybertron.
So you really don't know who he is at all?
No clue. All in all, though, I'm happy I got him. I knew exactly what I was getting into because I had the previous mold, but I like the mold. I like the sculpt. It has its issues, and it's far from perfect. And I was able to get him for a pretty good deal at TFCon. Just right place at the right time. I would have been able to even do better had I had loonies and toonies instead of dollar bills, but they weren't trying to help me out with the conversion, which kind of sucked for me. But, you know, he's fairly articulated. It's still a pretty impressive piece of engineering. I really enjoy the spaceship mode, and I really enjoy the boat mode, and I like the robot mode, so at least, at the very least, I got a triple changer out of it. And the gun isn't hateful either. It's definitely a personal call. He wasn't as expensive as Quick Switch, so, you know, if you can get him for a good deal and you liked Quick Switch, then I'd say he's worth picking up. If you're still... I don't know, I didn't get Quick Switch, I'm still kind of on the fence, I just kind of like these colors better. I would say don't get this one because it might have some of the joint issues that I have, where if you want to experiment with the mold, you might want to go for Quick Switch. He's a little bit more closer to a character you're familiar with, and the joints have a little bit better tolerance allotments. So that would be my recommendation. But if you like Quick Switch and you enjoyed them and you like the sculpt and everything, this guy's no different. And the colors look pretty good. They're very vibrant, and, you know, but still with that muted feel that Fansproject has. It's very cool how it pulls it off, and it has a presence. So I'm into it. I like it, but I can see how you would not. And this is not the one I would suggest taking a gamble on if that's the ballpark that you're in. So with that being said, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Till next time, take care.